The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Welcome to episode 104. Today we're talking about how to master distracted eating. I promised you that this spring I was going to bring you relevant topics that I'm actually talking to my clients and my small group about. And this week, well, let's see, we're in the second to third week of April here. What came up was situations of distracted eating. Here's a few examples. Being out at a restaurant socially with other people, going to the movie theater and eating your popcorn while you watch the movie, just sitting in the chair or in your living room watching TV, any kind of conversation with other people that you're doing at the same time you're trying to eat. I have a lot of clients who eat at their desk and they're also doing work at their desk, things like that. I'm sure you know exactly how distracted eating tends to show up in your life. And, most of the coach advice that I've heard when we work on your habits of becoming a more mindful eater, right? This is the goal. When you're in a distracted environment, what happens is your external focus on other people or the movie or whatever you're doing on your computer while food is going into your mouth, those external things become the focus of your conscious awareness, and the eating gets relegated to automatic behavior. And when we make eating automatic, we default back to automatic patterns of what's enough. And for most of us, if you've been trying to lose weight, that automatic backseat pattern that comes in is overeating, or at least it would be not noticing that you've had enough until you might have a internal sensation that you are full. And for most of my clients who are trying to lose weight, we want to only be eating past what is enough, meaning 70 to 75% full, when we're planning on overeating. We don't want to reinforce the habit of eating to fullness, which is associated with maintenance or even weight gain. So we want to decrease those examples. So we want to have our eye on distracted eating. And like I mentioned before, started to, most of the advice on this centers around, okay, turn off the TV, only focus on your eating. And that's great. But the reality of life is that some of these things you can do that with, and some of these things you may not want to do that with. And, as a coach, what I like to do is try to find, or at least ask the question, how can my client have the best of both worlds? Because, and I said this in my group meeting yesterday, I said, you guys, you're a coach, myself. I eat in front of the TV all the time. It's actually how I prefer to kind of have my lunch. I like to watch my recorded programs and be eating my lunch at the same time. And I'm able to manage my weight effectively with that habit. So if I learned how to do that, I want to teach you guys how to do that. Now, it's up to you and your responsibility to practice this until you can get to a place where it isn't a problem. And if it is a problem, distracted eating, you want to reduce the frequency that you engage in distracted eating so that you can get a handle on your weight management, of course. So if eating in front of the TV or working at your desk for lunch always is resulting in overeating, then, don't do it all the time, but slowly practice in conscious ways. So, like I said, Your eating patterns might be different when you are eating in a distracted environment. This means eating mindlessly with other inputs competing for your awareness and your focus. Being a mindful eater means that you are consistently going inside of yourself to monitor how much you've had to eat, your enjoyment of your food, and your sense of relative fullness. And I use descriptors to describe this in terms of percentage full. And if you go way back in my podcast, I talk more about how to figure out what percentage full you're at. But generally, the metaphor I use is like a water balloon. So an empty stomach is like a balloon, a water balloon with no water in it, right? There's nothing in there. And a very full water balloon, 100% full, has a lot of tension on the surface of the water balloon, right? It's being squeezed and pushed. This is similar to what we feel when we're over full, uncomfortably full. And those stretching sensors in our stomach, it's almost painful, right? So there's been a lot of research and study into blue zones, and the research done by, I think it's Dan Buettner with the blue zones. He discovered that the Okinawans born before World War II in Okinawa have some of the most consistent healthy weights for their entire life. And they have a practice called harahachibu, which means 8/10 full. So it's part of their culture where they are taught from a young age, and as part of how they eat, that they only eat to 8/10 of their stomach's fullness. So they leave 2/10 always free. They never eat to 100% full. And what happens, what they've associated with this is, really positive health markers and lots of centenarians, lots of Okinawans from this cohort of being born before the war were making it to age 100. And so, what I did with my coaching around this is I kind of borrowed from the idea of harahachibu, 8/10 full, and I thought, okay, well, we know that a slight caloric deficit will bring us sustainable fat loss. It's not too much and it's not too little. So, what I try to teach my clients is creating a mindfulness to understand and calibrate around your sense of when you are at 70 to 75% full. If your goal is fat loss, if your goal is maintenance, of course, we go to 8/10 full, just like the Okinawans do. And if you want to plan and overeat, then maybe that would be somewhere north of 80% full, but probably less than 100% full because we want to decrease big volume overeating if you want to sustain your weight, right? We don't want to kind of make that practice of painful overeating sexy, right? It's just not really helpful for the body to be for you to be overfueling yourself that much. So, to bring it back to distracted eating, when you go on automatic, because say you're in the movie theater and you're eating your popcorn and you're 100% engaged in that movie, and the action of your hand going into the popcorn and into your mouth, like you're not even aware it's happening. And you may not realize how much you've eaten until your stomach gives you that, oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortably full feeling. That's what we want to avoid. And so I want to tell you how to intercede so that you can be in a distracted environment, like going to the movies, and enjoy your popcorn without disrupting your pleasurable experience of being in the experience of watching the movie. And again, this is really just about practice. So if you think that it feels impossible, it's not that it's impossible. It's just that you haven't practiced very much. So we want to build the skill. And this is not about being perfect, it's about practicing with your awareness and staying connected to your internal monitoring of your stomach while you are eating in a distracted environment. So, a few tips are to put your fork down every few bites and then take a quick internal check in to see, not only just like how full am I, but like, yeah, can you feel the food sliding down your throat? I mean, when you're really hungry, and let's say we've all had this experience of eating something warm or even hot food, you can kind of feel how nice it feels to feel the food sliding down your esophagus and kind of dropping into your stomach, and how it's associated with good feelings, like satisfied feelings. And then we can kind of eventually have this sense of like enough food being in your stomach that you're no longer hungry. And that marker, if you will, is kind of associated with just a little bit less. Like we reach that before we get to 70 to 75% full. Okay. So again, now you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're not completely focusing on this internal monitoring, but you're toggling between the distracted environment, slowing down your rate of eating, right? So you don't go on full automatic mode. You kind of toggle between the two. And maybe in the beginning, you literally take your eyes off the movie and you kind of watch yourself pick up the popcorn and you stay with yourself as you chew. And then once you swallow, then you put your focus back on the movie. Maybe that's step one for you. But at least this is success because at least you're not checking out of your eating experience. Okay, that's building the skill. So, whether you've had some experience with this or you're brand new to it, just notice what's happening every time you practice. And the more experienced of you, sometimes you oopsie overeat, maybe, but maybe you're pretty good at like social situations. Or if maybe you oopsie overeat only if the conversation at the table is very absorbing or maybe dramatic, right? And you forget all about your food for a little bit. It's kind of like when we're in the car and we get on the phone and you arrive at your destination and then you think to yourself, I don't even remember driving here. That's the automatic habit taking over. And it's actually really generous of a brain and a body system that can just kind of take the wheel for you when we need it to. But being a mindful eater means having a commitment to always having the wheel around your weight goals. It means never really like asking yourself, why would I want to hand my eating over to a brain that can automatize my eating when I know that 21st century food tastes so good and is so delicious that it's kind of setting me up to overeat if I don't pay attention. And if you, maybe I have some clients who have this idea that like being mindful is a bother and it's a drag and it's kind of like, ugh, it's so annoying. I just want to forget all about food. And is that really true? I mean, if you look into the world's population, take the French, they are completely absorbed, usually in both social situations when they eat and also the experience of the food. They meld the two together. They don't have to kind of pull one out to focus on the other. Americans, I think we can be very all or nothing with this because we have this like love hate relationship with our food because it feels complicated, but it really doesn't have to be complicated. You just need the skill of translating for yourself how relatively full am I getting in my experience of eating? And I can definitely enjoy my eating, monitor how much I'm having, and enjoy myself with whatever distraction, positive or negative, is going on. It's like, I just want to make sure that you all know you can have the best of both worlds if you are willing to do your due diligence to practice mindfulness. Okay. And the mindfulness, paradoxically, can become the automatic. Like, once you know how to stay conscious of being a mindful eater, you may never lose the ability to go unconscious again. And I would say to you, that's the biggest gift of the practice. And I'll give you a metaphor for this, which is what I so often say. I take it back to my yoga practice of 25 years now. And the truth is, I've been practicing being an intentional breather, right? That intentional breath where it kind of sounds like an ocean. I've been taught to do this the moment I step on my mat and to do it the whole time until we lay down at the end for that Shavasana pose. And at that time, you just kind of let yourself breathe automatically again. And that has been so practiced that when I get on my mat now, I just start breathing intentionally without that spark of the thought to do it intentionally. It just starts happening. So perhaps, and this is what I want to entice you with, practicing being an intentional eater when the environment is distracting is exactly the place where you can practice mindfulness no matter what. And this allows you to stay attached to yourself, grounded to yourself, and it allows you to not be kind of like taken away from yourself no matter what's going on. So this skill of mindful eating has many applications in your life where you can stay grounded to yourself, give yourself space, give yourself a pause, and not be completely, pulled away from external things that are external to yourself. You remain fully in the driver's seat of your eating life. And when you practice that, you learn how to extend it into other areas at work, in your relationship, having hard conversations. You don't lose your center, right? You slow it down, you toggle between being intentional for what's right for you and then engaging with the world outside of you. So I want you to do your homework, which is to try to focus on staying aware in distracted eating situations. You will toggle between staying connected to your body, practicing pleasure in the food, monitoring your relative percentage full, noticing when your hunger goes away, noticing how the food feels going into your stomach, and how delightful it is to feel more and more satisfied to your desired percentage full, which for fat loss is associated with 70 to 75% full, right? This way, we have an internal measuring stick rather than macros or calories, which is amazing. And then also notice when you disconnect. What are the things that cause you to kind of like pull out of mindfulness? And just notice those things. You can put it on your calendar, identify maybe a few lunches this week that you'll do this with, and then reflect and share. Come and visit me on Instagram and let me know how being a mindful eater is going for you. And if you have anything to share with me, I would love to hear what your experience is, or if you have any questions, just ask me over on Instagram. You can find me at Thrive in Midlife. Okay. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and become a VIP subscriber. You'll learn how to work with me. You'll get 2 free gifts, access to exclusive VIP content, and get a discount on the digital follow-through planner.